So Josh and I met each other, oh gosh, when would that have been? 2014, 15?
May not even been that. About 13, 14, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, we both worked together at Bass Pro Shops. So we were both in Tracker Marine Financial Services and kind of just became work friends, really. Um, I mean, this kind of sounds like a dating story, so it's kind of awkward. But basically, yeah, we started courting at Bass Pro, and then once we graduated, I got into real estate from there. And Josh sent me. Well, actually, Josh was one of my first calls, and he was like, "Hey, I just got pre-approved to buy a house." And
I did things the backwards way, but it worked.
yeah. So Josh was actually like one of my first sales. And then from there, he just started referring me people. And he referred me 3 or 4.
3 people, 4 deals. Yeah.
3 people, 4 deals in like a month. And it resulted in a little over 18,000 in GCI. And so it's kind of natural for me to then be like, Josh, if you were doing what I'm doing, you would have made that 18,000.
How did that conversation really go?
The conversation looked like me getting Josh blazing, rip-roaring drunk at Hotel Vandervoort and convincing me.
Oh, so, it was not on Natural Light either.
No, it was an expensive rip-roaring drunk. But long story short, we connected originally from work, and we knew from years of working together that our relationship and just the way we approached work, it went together. So we decided to get Josh started in real estate. And in doing so, we kind of did a funky partnership at first. It was like a fake partnership, not a real one. And we went back and forth a long time about how to structure it and all that kind of stuff. And it slowly evolved into where it is now. And one of the reasons that, the Market Center is asking us to teach on partnerships is because we did it probably the worst and hardest way, both financially and then legally and all that stuff. I mean, if it could have gone like wrong, we've probably done it wrong, Yeah,
we've probably done it wrong 5 different wrong ways throughout the process. Yeah.
And it took everything from an attorney, a CPA, shadowing other teams, everything we could to figure out our current structure. So our goal today is basically, to share not only best practices with you guys, why you would maybe want to, and then how to, and then of course, on top of all of that, we want to answer as many questions as we can. So we'll be a little bit quicker on those early things. That way we have a lot of time just to answer questions. You guys can pick our brains about, partnership, how that works, the way our team is structured, really anything real estate related. Does that sound good?
Okay. I'll say one thing about that, Wes, too. Like, so when we were talking about doing things the wrong way, we always had the same goal in mind. So that was never, that's why it worked for us with doing things, quote unquote, the wrong way. We both had very similar mindset and goals and future goals for what the team, the partnership, the growth. Even when I first started and we were individuals-esque, we both had similar goals and paths that we wanted to take. So that's why us being able to do things wrong, we still were able to somewhat be successful, at least enough for them to let us teach this class. So, but I think that, it definitely worked out.
Yeah. And again, we'll touch on that kind of after we launch through the basic, what Keller Williams requires and maybe some of the legal stuff. But so before we get started, there is a group chat going on. So rather than just kind of jumping in, go ahead and if you have any questions, type in the chat. That way we can address them as we go. So if you think of something, throw it in there. So if you have a question kind of before we open and unmute everybody, please type. I see Rob Luck has already typed LOL. So
don't know what it was referring to. Probably correct.
No idea, but probably Josh can. That's how most people get into real estate, right? I mean, you just, oh, look, they're overpaid and they all drink. Sounds good. Um, first thing first, we went ahead and asked what the market center's requirements were around partnerships, because again, we did it completely wrong. So I have this big long thing I'm about to copy and paste into, oops, I copied the wrong thing. Oh, I'm going to copy and paste this into the chat so that you guys can see it. It's super long, okay? Go ahead and click on that guy. Here's the biggest thing. Legal partnerships and shared caps, okay? You need to be a corporation in order to share a cap. So if you are two individuals and you're not married, then you don't get to share a cap, right? So Josh and I, again, we did this wrong a million ways, but we actually own Litton Keatts Real Estate LLC. It has an operating agreement. It has terms for acquisition, disposition, everything in it, completely legal, drafted by our attorney in conjunction with our CPA. So first things first is you actually do need to create some version of a corporation. Now, all of that sounds expensive. It costs us like $200. Like, and a partnership is not an easy thing to form, and it still only costs us like $200. And our attorney and CPA did everything. So first things first, be legal. Two reasons that I would recommend that outside of Keller Williams. The first is it totally protects you completely. So should I die, there are terms in our operating agreement that detail exactly what happens to the company and the ownership structure of the company. Likewise, if Josh and Sarah decide to pack up and move to Puerto Vallarta and just be done and retire, it gives us terms on that. Also, it details how we could sell. It details how we can bring in other owners, all that kind of stuff. So it's super, super, super awesome to have. The other thing, the second protection around it, is when you are an S Corp, right, and you're doing a decent amount of business, you actually pay yourself as an employee. So you actually save on self-employment tax. So your company actually pays for some of your self-employment tax, which you get a tax deduction for. So that's a pretty important thing. Of course, working through the remainder of that, both people have to be licensed. And one of the big things is the partnership must have been in place for 12 consecutive months for the two partners to share a cap. Okay. So my advice is if you know for sure, and once we're done kind of talking here, once you know for sure that you're going to, pursue partnerships, form one, get it going. That way your 12-month clock can start ticking, and then you can get into that shared cap, because that's a big savings, right? A really big savings. So that is key. Moving forward there, each partner will be subject to the KWRI cap. So, we split the Springfield cap, but we still pay royalty. And then again, upon termination, you would go back to being just an individual. So real quick, does anybody have anything on there? It looks like, yeah, thank you, Nicole, for KW Greater Springfield. It looks like there's two of you from the policy and guidelines manual. This is like literally pulled as a quote out of our P&Gs for KW Springfield. So that's the legal stuff. Any questions there? Pretty straightforward. Yeah, no? Okay, cool. Josh, do you want to take away and talk about our shared goals and kind of how we knew we wanted to form that partnership?
Yeah. I think, it kind of started weird, like you said. So at the time when I started, Wes had been in real estate a couple of years at that point, a year and a half or so. Had a decent book of business going, but knew he wanted to grow. Didn't know what that looked like exactly at the time, but he knew he wanted to grow. And like he mentioned, I'd been sitting in business, so that helped. He knew that my wife was a coach and that she was a full-time student, and that I was the only one that was really truly working and bringing in a salary. And he said, on the short end of it, what are your goals if you were to be in real estate? And at the time it was like, but your first day of Bold, like you think of the small goals and you're like, want to be able to have a successful life that pays for the lifestyle we want, like something pretty easy. But as that grew and as you kind of more, we both knew we wanted to fund something that supplied for others, not just through what you're thinking of like donating and charities or anything like that, but more creating a team that supplies for others, creates other careers. We've got people on our team now that my internet connection is unstable. That's not good. But we're able to grow them and their career path. I think that was really early on kind of set into us. We didn't necessarily have very early on, we didn't have a vision of what the unit count was, what the expansion was, what anything like that. But we knew we wanted to create something that supplied for others. And then those all, but we've always been aligned. I mean, our first Bold, we did, is it the first Bold that we did? Like the first steps where they had the vision and like your someday goal, or what was it the other day we were talking about? Like we were within like one word of each other.
Brindley Tucker.
Yeah.
Kevin's
Brindley
favorite
Tucker.
girl.
Yeah. Yeah. So we like, it's kind of just how we've always been. Like she had a, kind of draw out what we wanted things to look like. And Wes and I, no exaggeration, like our paragraph was within 2 words of each other. We've been clear with each other about it, kind of what we want to do, how we want to provide for others, what we want to give, what we want to do, what we want to have for ourselves too. I mean, in a selfish way. So it's always been aligned that way. Now it's definitely more unit count and
Kevin just heard me make fun of him, so he just sent us a text.
Yeah.
Appropriate.
He's our number one fan, I have a feeling. But now it's definitely unit count and stuff like that we track daily, but our goals of provide for others is still in the forefront of our minds, each of us.
Yeah, to add on to that, I mean, our mission statement as a team is so that others may thrive in real estate and life. And as leaders, we don't apply that to just us or to just our clients. Primarily that looks like our team. So I mean, and this filters through. Like, what we're talking about here is a philosophical connection, and yet at the same time, a commitment to doing what it takes, in business. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not just, business goals that we talked about at first. At first, it really wasn't as much business goals as like life goals, family goals, faith goals, pretty much anything other than how many units do you want to close. Because I think as much or more, that's the important thing. You want to make sure you align on a philosophical, faith-based, just your life, like what you want your life to look like on those ends, as much or more than doing business.
Yeah. I mean, even to add to that, like when we first sat down and started talking, it was, we followed kind of the God Family Business model of Keller Williams. And then we brought it to not only God Family Business, but, what does your mentality look like? What does your commitment to your physical health look like? All those things become so important in partnerships, because if one of us goes down, or if one of us kind of disagrees and isn't willing to open up or talk about it or to fight through it, like your partnership is gone. Like you will not be productive. You will not be on the same page. You'll just be done. And so partnerships, they do hold a certain level of risk because of that. And yet at the same time, they also hold a certain level of firepower because you're putting 2 people together who think alike. And, married couples kind of get this, because in marriage, you kind of have to be aligned in all of these to be healthy. Whereas if you're not, you're just 2 individuals who are going to do business together. It's this weird, like, how do we align, on all these points? Where are we off, and can we handle where we're off? So yeah, all of that to just say, Josh, yeah, definitely spot on there.
Yeah. It was interesting kind of learning about each other like that too. I mean, we were very fortunate to kind of know each other's work ethic. So both, we were two of the youngest in our department at Bass Pro, if not the two youngest when we were both there. And I'd gone from selling boats to in the finance department, and like I didn't love the job, but I knew that there could be potential, and I got made fun of a lot by the other guys just giving me crap because I wanted to work, and Wes did too. Like we didn't necessarily love what we were doing, but we knew it provided, so we could see each other's work ethic there. You know, and that kind of played into it for sure, on that side of it at least.
Yeah. I guess I can't reiterate enough that, you know, partnerships just aren't for everybody. And, you know, it does take a lot of work to cultivate that relationship. You know, for us, we had years of it. So that was super confirming that when we did decide to go into business together, once we KPA'd each other, once we did the disc profile and figured out, you know, our personality traits and our strengths, you know, they just fit really well. And we kind of already knew they did, but we were able to actually put some faith in it because of our history of working together. So if you don't have that history, it can actually become an Achilles heel. You have to create history somehow. And for us, it was over a period of years, and it wasn't really like, you know, developed quickly. You can develop it quickly. You just have to find an environment or figure out a way to put yourself in a pressure cooker, so to speak, and work things out quickly. Just taking a couple personality tests won't do it, you know? So there's definitely something to be said about, you know.
We were very fortunate with that for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a blessing to have started out that way. There's other ways to, like you said, to kind of put it in a pressure cooker, but you know, the fact that the first 3 years or so, 2 years of our friendship was working together, kind of competing against each other in a way. And because we were both salesmen, we funded boat loans. So, you know, we both wanted to be in the top of the board for selling back end products and stuff like that. So, we saw each other's work ethic there. We were very, very blessed for that.
Yeah, I agree. Now, if it's okay, I'm going to transition to, you know, we've kind of talked about through the policy and guidelines how to start a team. We've talked about, you know, why and what it could look like and what it needs to look like in terms of developing one another and figuring out that relationship. Now we're going to kind of turn and let's talk about, you know, as Josh, you and I kind of here as partners, how did we determine, you know, who does what? Right? Because we're basically dual rainmakers, right? So do you want to talk about how we kind of balanced that and figured it out?
Yeah. I mean, it was, I think, a lot learning early on. It kind of, it was shown to us very quickly, like our mindsets are a little different and how we approach people, how we approach the team and different stuff like that. I more focus on, we both focus on listing. So I'm not like buy side, he's not listing side. Wes and I, if you look at, you know, the KW models or the MRA models, we are the U, both of us are the U. So we kind of base our team like that. And we've divided the U roles. So we both do listings. We split our team's listing requirements, and kind of go from there. We both have a ton of conversation and contact with all of our employees all the time, but Wes is definitely more on the business big picture, you know, outside of it, systems, tools outside of it. I'm connecting with our agents, Denver ISA, you know, having them to kind of create the relationships and say, hey, go back to Wes, here's the systems we need to do. Wes obviously works on the implementing those things and kind of researching them a little bit more, and kind of we go back and forth with them just to try to, I'm a little bit more like teachy, and I mean, kind of enjoy like being hands-on with them. Wes is more like, here it is. If it works, great. If it's not, awesome, I'll find something else. And that can be kind of off-putting. I'm used to that with him. Some of the people on our team weren't. There was a while that, I mean, like friendship relationships, were awesome, but like the work relationships were different because like Wes is just headstrong, man. He's like, he's going to break through a door to get something done. And it was like, where do we go on it? So that kind of taught us pretty well that I can, you know, bridge that gap. So that's kind of how we handle it now.
Yeah. I mean, I think to piggyback off the MREA, you know, they have the train, coach, keep, and consult model, right? Mm-hmm. So Josh is a coach. Like, that is his super strength, is Josh could coach, you know, anything. So that's really his strength. And so there's a big difference between me approaching someone saying, hey, you did goals, and then Josh doing it, you know? And so we figured that out quickly. You know, as far as like the training and the coaching, like that's really Josh's strength. The keeping and consulting is kind of more mine. So we just figured out who would be better at which aspects of the leadership position or of the rainmaker position. And then earlier he mentioned the MREA. I don't know if you guys can see this. The MREA chart, this is in the organizational model. Do you see the U right here?
You could probably screen share it easier.
That's true. Well, I'm already here and I'm peeking around it like a creeper. So, but the U is what we split, which is unique. So we actually have a buyer's agent. We actually have showing assistants, all that kind of stuff. We just figured out, hey, this is the role that we need to split in order to be most effective for our organization. And so that each of us stay happy, right?
I was going to add, like, I mean, you've got a family, you got 2 kids. Part of that was, you know, early on when we were growing, we had the conversation a lot of times, like, do either of us want to be the buyer's agent starting out? And we both said we would. We both said we could, but we both knew that bringing on other people is what our end goal was, and it was a great way to grow it. It worked.
Yeah, Josh, you cut out there on that last piece.
I was just going to say, bringing on people is what we wanted to do. We knew that was the goal. So it worked out well, just implementing it there when it was time to add the buyer's agent, whether it was time to split the team in buyers and listings, it was time to add somebody.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. All right. Anything else to add? I mean, I think that covered most of our story. I think it covered kind of how we structure stuff. Nicole, if you're host now again, do you want to go ahead and unmute everybody, or am I still host? All right.
You're still host.
I'm going to unmute everybody then. Okay, are we all there?
Looks like everyone's Lindsay's muted, Dana's unmuted. Nope, you're good.
Okay.
Well,
you can always mute yourself again if you want to.
Yeah.
But go ahead, shoot questions out. What do you guys got? We got everything from how we sell real estate to teams to partnerships, you name it.
We'll go ahead and go.
What?
Oh.
No, you can go ahead.
Nicole. You go ahead.
Okay. Do you guys follow the model that Keller Williams has in place for hiring?
Yes.
Yes.
Very, very freaking much so. And
We're saying
what's that process?
What's that?
What's that process?
Crappy. Basically, I mean, if you guys haven't taken career visioning and you're on this call, I mean, you guys need to reach out to Rachel and sign up for it right away. It's by far the best class that you can take to figure out how to grow. And not just in hiring, but literally in all things real estate. In personal development. So CV, career visioning, is phenomenal. We follow that process to a T, and even then we still get it wrong. So, but we definitely follow that model to a absolute T. And so that's 8 hours of interview total with each candidate over the course of at least a month. And then our goal is to have multiple candidates for each position.
Yeah, I mean, and now part of Sam, our director of operations, part of her requirements is to send KPAs. She has a certain amount of KPAs and reviews that she has to start with people just to help build our bench, because we know it's that important to have those folks on there.
Hmm. Yeah, like right now she's hiring a transaction coordinator, and I mean, shoot, I think the last time we posted the job, we had 40 something resumes, right? We ended up hiring one and it didn't work out. So now we're back to zero. So that bench is super, super important. We're always searching
Yep.
for talent, you know. And then Nicole, to your point, Keller Williams probably does have the most robust training around hiring out of maybe any organization in real estate. Yeah, absolutely. But possibly in all organizations. So that CV and then the free tools they give you through the KPA, I mean, it's unreal good. It's unreal good.
Yeah, and anyone that we've ever taken through it, even if they, let's say they didn't make it all the way through, they're always just shocked by how thorough it is. And they appreciate it too, because it teaches them a lot about themselves as employees, as people. We've had people that take them halfway through that CV process or the KPA process, and they quickly realize that, and before you realize that they're not right for the job, they realize that this is not what they're looking for. So
yeah,
that process is crucial.
Trey, you got something?
Yeah. So you guys talked a little bit about the benefits of doing the partnership style and definitely going with the, going through it the legal way and doing the LLC and everything. You see, and this is specific for Alex and I, we're not married, so we're not sharing a cap. But you see a lot of, I'm going to refer to the husband and wife kind of duos, just because that's more what it's relatable to, I think. You see a lot of them not doing the partnership kind of style of things and doing, one of them does the listings, one of them does the buyers, or one of them might do kind of the office type work. What would you say the benefits are to doing the partnerships versus not, and doing it the way that it seems like most people do it, I would say?
Josh, you want to run that one?
I figured you'd give me that. No, I mean, I don't know. Truthfully, I don't know that there's a benefit to doing a partnership the way that we've done it compared to that. Definitely, it kind of depends on what you're looking for. If you have, when you come in there and say that somebody's going to be your admin and somebody's going to be the agent, then do it. I don't necessarily think that a partnership, I'm not going to sit here and tell you, hey, the partnership's the best way to go. If it works, it's definitely viable. We've screwed it up plenty to know that it's probably not the best way to do it from the way we started. But, if you're going to work as a true rainmaker and buyer's agent, as a husband and wife, then that's fine too. I don't know that there is necessarily a benefit to doing it either way. It's just kind of what fits your model.
Sure.
And you can make it happen. Truthfully, I was not trying to skate around the question. I just don't know that there's a clear-cut reason for it.
Yeah, I think scale also helps. So if you're a husband and wife and you're never going to have a team, then sure, divide it however the heck you want.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't really matter. If you're going to build a team, it really matters, because if one's going to be a buyer's agent and one's a listing agent, or the kind of the head rainmaker, you're never going to see each other. Your buyer's agent's going to be working nights and weekends most of the time, and you as a listing agent won't be working nights and weekends most of the time. So in terms of your relationship, how you choose what role you're in is really important. If you guys are just going to, hey, throw it at the fan, we got one admin, we both take buyers and sellers and we just run, sure, you can do that. But I guess it really comes to scale. Are you going to grow a team? Is it going to be, an actual team after the KW model, or is it just going to be kind of husband, wife, one admin, and that's just how you roll? There's nothing wrong with any of it. How you choose to structure your team, how you choose to structure your team, say the best practices are probably the model for scale. But I wouldn't expect, a husband, wife to have any issues should they just choose to team up. One takes buyers, one takes sellers, other than you just won't see each other. If you got 20 buyers, how are you going to handle, 20 buyers that are signed looking for homes and take listings on top of it. So one would be gone constantly, and the other would be mostly working on systems and listing appointments. So I think the biggest thing, in my opinion, for the husband wife is to determine the goal first, and then to move forward. In your guys' case, since you're not married, you still have 2 caps. So that could be something that maybe you discuss specifically with the market center, yet at the same time, I would just probably figure out your guys' goals as a couple. And if marriage is on the horizon for 12 months, then yeehaw. If it's not, then maybe consider pursuing the shared cap. That way you can reduce the cost. And then outside of that, just determine based on your goals, if you're going to scale a team, you definitely don't want to be both on. You don't want to split listings and buys. If you're going to just say, 100 units between you two and an assistant, you might be able to get away with splitting them.
Makes sense.
Does that help?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Okay. Ask any other questions you can think in that vein too, because that's kind of complicated.
Will you guys get into a little bit more of, are you guys just straight up splitting 50-50 everything that the partnership does, or dig into that as much as you want to, or as little as you want to, but just trying to get some ideas there and moving forward with that.
Yeah. So when you form an LLC, right, and you divide ownership 50-50, according to the law, you have to split net profit 50-50. Now, there's a good chance it's going to be better for you to be an S corp. So basically, you'll be like an official corporation. You will then become an employee of your own corporation. So the requirement around employees as owners is that they get paid the same, and that they get paid the same amount that agent would typically be paid. So for instance, the average salary for an agent in our area, or the average income, is like $50,000. Okay. So Josh and I both get paid $50,000 as employees of our own company. And then we split the net profit 50-50. So the S corp requires that. It requires that you be put on payroll as an owner if you're working in the business. And if you are, all ownership has to be paid the exact same. So if Josh took over all the listings and I went and did something else, we would still have to both get the exact same salary, even if one did all the work versus the other. The key behind it all is that you set goals and you have accountability around your goals. So because Josh and I both split listings, we have very similar listing goals, right? And because we also both split the leadership responsibilities, we both kind of have goals around those leadership, or areas of accountability around those leadership options. So that's really the biggest thing, is if you're partners, you're partners. So Trey, if you bring in $10 million of business and Alex brings in $1 million, you got to give her half, right? Because that's 50-50 partnership. So whether you love it or hate it, that's just the law. You can pay yourself on commission, but you're probably going to get audited by the IRS and get hammered. So I just wouldn't recommend it. And of course, the distributions have to be equal if you're 50-50 partners. So
makes sense.
Yeah. It's a little bit complicated, and it took us a long time to really figure it out and nail it down. But now that we have, it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
Cool.
Anybody else out there?
Cole.
No one. All right. Well, do I still have everyone muted? It looks like everyone's muted.
I think they muted themselves.
Okay. Miss Fisher, do you have anything? She's good.
I'm good. Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Well, should we wrap her up, Nicole?
Mute him, Nicole.
You're muted.
Microphone.
Nope, sounds good. Thanks, guys. This was really helpful.
I love it.
Guys, feel free to, reach out anytime. I'm sure if you, Trey, you'll probably get off here and think of another question or something, but reach out anytime. We are pretty much an open book. That's one thing I can definitely say is been a benefit of being at KW. Everyone else has been super helpful, and we're more than happy to do the same. So just, if you guys need anything, have any questions, if you don't have our phone numbers, well, we're all agents. You can find people.
Use Kelly. Kelly, you can find anyone's phone number.
Or other creepy websites that just give you phone numbers because that's easy. But anyways, if you need anything, just let us know. We're more than happy to help. We're here for you guys if you need anything.
I have one last thing. I had put in the chat box because Brent, like you guys said, Brinley Tucker, she has a great model that, she follows the KW model basically on how to start a team and where to go from here. Like when you hit a certain production level, then you need to hire an admin. And then once you cap, you can start your own team with adding buyer's agents and stuff like that. So she's a great person as well, but Jen Davis actually taught a breakout with her at Mega Camp. So Jen Davis is in our market center. So if you have questions further on, kind of more on what Brinley talks about, she's a great person to reach out to as well. Because she has built, helped build the Holt Homes group as well.
Yeah, just don't let your buyer's agents talk to her. It's just not good. She shreds buyer's agents.
She's not afraid to do it to their faces, which is nice at least. So
yeah, at least with Kevin anyway, just shredded him straight up. Well, yeah, guys, thank you guys so much. If you guys ever have anything, shoot us a call, text, whatever. But yeah, there's tons of resources out there. Just make sure as partners, your goals are aligned, who you are is aligned, and then pursue cautiously and at the same time, enjoy it.